And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of July 13th are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for listening to and broadcasting Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Remember when commuting was like puttering down Disney World's Main Street? If drive time now is more like Tomorrowland's Speedway, you may be the victim of road rage. When I come back, I'll tell you. O'Reilly.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If your morning drive's like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and an afternoon's an extraterrestrial alien encounter, beware, you're not at Disney's Magic Kingdom. 1,500 people are killed annually from aggressive driving outbursts or road rage. American College of Emergency Physicians has some advice. De-stress by giving yourself extra time. Avoid driving when angry, upset, overtired. Don't tailgate, block passing lanes, or overuse your horn. Come on, prevent road rage and save lives. It's a small world after all. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Taking a back seat used to mean second best, but no more. I've got news that'll make the back seat a happening place to be. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If drive-in movies were the last time you had fun in the back seat, you're in for a treat. Visteon's aftermarket rear seats entertainment system offers a fully integrated mobile entertainment system packaged in a center console. It features a 6.4-inch flip-up LCD screen, a video cassette player, and video plug-and-play capability. Now your kids can play Nintendo on long trips, and you can enjoy drive-in movies from the back seat without ever leaving your garage. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. It's raining cats and dogs. You're slowing down, being careful, but you hit a wet patch and there you go, hydroplaning. Now, what causes it and what can you do about it? When we come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When tires meet road water, they can do two things: channel the water and remain on pavement, or skim on top of the water. Hydroplaning occurs when tires, especially bald ones, ride on a wedge of water and lose contact with the road. Your car is literally skiing in the street. When this happens, take your foot off the gas, but don't brake. Braking can cause your car, and sometimes you, to spin out of control. But the best way to hedge against hydroplaning is to equip your car with well-treaded tires. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Lime green, smoky black, pomegranate red, and crystal clear. If you're thinking fashion colors for spring, back up and think car fluids. And when I come back, I'll tell you all about them.
O'Reilly.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The same spring shades you see on Paris runways can be found on garage floors. And these colors speak volumes as to current or potential problems. Lime green says, coolant, check your radiator. Smoky black whispers oil leaks, could be engine, differential, or power steering. Pomegranate or brownish red hints transmission fluid. And crystal clear may say harmless condensation, or may shout danger, your brake fluid's leaking. Make sure your car's in the pink. Catch these fluids on a newspaper for your mechanic to evaluate. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Water. We sail on it and wash with it. And in cars, it belongs in the radiator. But H2O in tires is dangerous. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Water's just great in mountain streams, but when it sneaks into tires, the danger's crystal clear. Water and the dirt it carries can warp the inside of your tires. Here's how it gets in. Moisture collects in air pump compressors. When tire valves connect with pump valves, this unwanted water piggybacks right into your tire. To prevent this unwelcomed hitchhiker, jiggle the pump valve and release some air. If you get soggy, ease on down to the next watering hole. Service station. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special welcome. Good morning. I hope you had a great week, and I hope you're taking care of your automobile, because in these days and times, you need to be able to count on at least automobiles and toilet paper. I don't know where that came from, folks. That's okay. 888 Car Clinic. Millie will take your call at 888-227-2546 and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. A special announcement today. I'm giving away, Blaster. PB Blaster, if you'll remember, and you recall we used and endorsed that product. Well, the Blaster Corp has given us the whole suite of products, and at the end of the next hour, we're going to pull someone's name out of the hat. So get in early, because there's a whole list, and when I have time, I'll come back. I'll give you a list of all the things that we're going to give away today. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts will help make your auto repair, maintenance, or restoration projects easier, folks. So when your car isn't stopping like it used to,
You go to the professional people at O'Reilly Auto Parts, and they'll help you find the brake parts and the supplies that you need to get the job done right the first time. And now, for a limited time, you can save 15% when you buy any set of Brake Best pads and 2 Brake Best rotors. Stop by today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Your calls at 888-227-2546 when I come back.
A 2013 Honda Accord came in the shop running rough, stalling, and a check engine light. The vehicle had originally been repaired by another shop. After a thorough diagnosis, we found the vehicle was generating a bad signal from the crankshaft position sensor. This seemed odd as it had just recently been replaced, but the scope doesn't lie. A bad waveform signal needs to be fixed. Our solution? A new crankshaft position sensor from Motorrad. A longtime leader for vehicle thermostats and caps, Motorrad now offers engine management products that are engineered to meet and or exceed OEM specifications. They're designed to perform under severe operating conditions and are resistant to extreme heat. We made the change, and that fixed the car. Motorrad engine management products are manufactured in Tier 1 OEM facilities with top quality qualifications. They undergo comprehensive 100% in-line and end-of-line testing to ensure uncompromising quality. Learn more about Motorrad engine management products and other Motorrad solutions at Motorrad.com. Our inbox has been especially full these past few weeks as people are looking for advice regarding keeping their vehicles road ready. Jim from Dallas wrote, "What can I do to make sure my vehicles are prepared and ready to go?" Jim, the economic impact of the current health crisis has touched every hardworking American. Making your dollar stretch further is more important than ever before. Commuting to grocery stores and other essential outlets has changed the way most Americans drive. Shorter trips and lower operating temperatures can increase the probability of carbon buildup in your vehicle's engine combustion chamber. Look to Berryman products to help maintain optimum performance and MPG. Berryman's intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner is a simple-to-use kit that can truly add fuel economy, better performance, and longevity to your vehicle's engine. Regular use of Berryman B12 fuel system cleaner can assist you in maintaining a clean and healthy fuel injection system. Check out Berryman products' complete line of maintenance and cleaning products designed for do-it-yourselfer and professional technicians alike at BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's broadcast. Just a note before we kick off this hour. As I mentioned in the open, I will be giving away a blaster gift pack. And I hesitate to call it just a gift pack because to me, a gift pack usually involves a cup holder or, you know, a little cup wraparound koozie. And maybe a T-shirt. We've given away, I don't know how many hundreds of T-shirts over the years here, 28 years in Bobby Likis Car Clinic broadcast. But this particular gift pack is something that not only you will be able to use at your home, in your office, your car, everywhere. You can actually share with some friends or your next door neighbor. Said, well, that's really cool stuff there. So I just want to give you a brief list of what's going to be in this. And then we're going to take a call from Rocky. And then for everyone that calls in, we'll put your name in the hat with a car question. and I will pull, or my team will pull the lucky winner at the end of next hour's broadcast. You don't have to be tuned in to listen, but you do have to give Millie, when you call, your contact information so that we can reach out to you. But here's just a list of some of the products that's going to be in this giveaway gift pack. The original PB Blaster, which, if you're not familiar with Blaster products, they're the number one lubricant and penetrant company, I guess, and to me, number one of all of the ones that are out there. The original PB Blaster, Multimax multipurpose lubricant, citrus-based degreaser, garage door lube, which I used this several weeks ago, and it really does work. PB infused lithium grease brake cleaner, dry lube. Dry lube. That sounds like an oxymoron to me, dry lube. But dry lube is, for instance, if you have a window that's binding when it comes up, or it makes a noise on the weather strip, well, you spray it with dry lube. You don't want a wet lubricant on your glasses on your car, but you want to spray that felt, what's called that track, the window track, and that's where you use dry lube. So it's a great product, and much more, plus a Blaster t-shirt, keychain, and a Blaster hat. This may be the largest giveaway that we've ever done. In the meantime, let's get started with the show at 888-227-2546. Go to Rocky first. Rocky, you are first in, so you're first up. Welcome. Good morning to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Morning, Bobby. You finally got me convinced to go with an AGM battery, so I've been kind of doing some homework on the internet, and I'm finding AGM lead-acid batteries. Is there such a thing?
Well, there's a flooded battery, and then there's an AGM. The flooded battery uses separators and plates, and then you put in the electrolyte, which is the acid,
right.
and that's a flooded battery. Of course, if you turn it upside down or mount it crazy, or it's susceptible. Plus, it's not. It's susceptible more so than an AGM battery, because AGM stands for absorbent glass mat. So the liquid is absorbed in the glass mat. So you can put it in any position you like. I mean, like a dry sump system is used in airplanes because they do rollovers, and race cars use dry sumps so that there's no oil in the pan, so that the G-force doesn't throw the oil up, when you turn away from the oil pickup. So for that reason, the AGM batteries are superior, and in addition to that, the structure of an AGM battery is more resistant to vibrations and heat. And I got to tell you, Rocky, heat is the number one enemy under hood of automobiles. I know cold is too, because cold will reduce a battery's cold cranking amps. And that's why, and there's two different ways. I won't go into the details, but there's cold cranking amps, and then there's another way that they rate batteries. But when you buy a battery, but the AGM is my choice, but it does have liquid in it, but it's absorbed by the glass mat. So it's not slushy. Right. You know what I'm saying? In other words, it's like having a sponge in a glass of water, and the sponge keeps all the water. If you took the sponge out and squeezed the sponge, the glass would have the water in it. So the sponge absorbs and holds the moisture. That's about the only analogy I could think of. Did that work for you?
Well, you just taught me everything that you've already taught me.
Good. I'm glad I'm making sense this morning.
It said lead acid AGM battery. To me, it's either one or the other.
Well, it's
I mean, they're not all that way, but the ones I've seen say that confused me.
Well, here's let me give you this, because here's where you need to go, because here's where the rubber meets the road. Autobatteries.com. Autobatteries.com, and courtesy of Clarios, and Clarios is a global company, and one of every 3 batteries in use today is a Clarios battery. That's how large that company is. In fact, and I've got a cheat sheet somewhere, but I probably don't need it. Every hour, there's like 8,000 batteries being recycled. 24/7, 365. So batteries are the number one recycled product in the world. Getting back to the AGM and the lead acid, a lead acid indicates or implies that there's lead flooded with acid, and that's true for a flooded battery. But an absorbent glass mat holds the liquid in suspension and absorbs the liquid, but it still has lead plates in it. In fact, Power Frame is a brand that is also a Clarios company now. The Power Frame, and you may have heard me mention this a couple of years ago, uses a stamping system where they roll out lead, and lead is either cast, which when you cast something, it's got rough edges and what have you. So if you're transferring voltage, from one plate to another, then the more equal each plate is, the smoother the transfer of voltage, and that's where the stamping process is superior. But I won't go into that because now I'm kind of mixing two different, too much information. Sometimes it's confusing. But the bottom line is any AGM battery is superior to a liquid-filled battery.
So if it says AGM lead acid, I should stay away from it?
No, it's superior. Well, I'm confused because normally you don't see the AGM lead acid. But as I said, just go to autobatteries.com, and that site has all the information that you need with regard to specifics. And I wouldn't want to quote something that wasn't exactly correct because, like any topic, I know a little bit about a lot of subjects. But if you're going to really hone in, just like I need one of these days to have a tire representative to come on the show, because I get questions about tires all the time, and I know the structure of tires, but that's not my business. If you know what I'm saying. So I know everything, but I just don't know that.
All right, Bobby, you got time to answer about what's the update on Elio? Car company?
That is my least favorite. I think that's, and with all due respect, there ain't no such thing as Elio. That company has every 6 months they put in another bid for more money and what have you, and they're going to make this car. And they bought a plant over in Louisiana from General Motors. You know they did that. They bought a plant.
The Hummer plant.
Do what?
It was the Hummer plant.
That's correct. And how long ago was that? 4 years?
At least.
And have you seen one on the street? It's one of those cars.
Oh no. They have pictures of them.
Pictures.
But that's about it.
Well, to that end, there's one more car maker. So that my answer to that, Elio will. I predict that there will never be an Elio car, and I rarely use the word never. I just say I doubt very seriously we'll ever see an Elio produced automobile, because they were going to come out with a what was the base price of the car? Like
it was just under $6,900, and now it's gone up to about $7,600.
Right, and then if you want a radio with that and steering wheel and tires, I mean, literally there are options galore. So just like the base price of a car might be $30,000, but when you roll, in fact, the Mercedes, when they came out with a 29.9 CLA, if you remember, several years ago, 10 years ago, they came out with a CLA. It was a 29.9 Mercedes-Benz CLA, beautiful car. And so my daughter's partner bought one, and it was $42,000 by the time she added any accessories whatsoever. So that's the same way it is. But one more car maker, and I've got a hard break coming up, but I want to share this with you. The car maker is Lucid. Have you heard of Lucid?
I have, yeah.
Well, I will tell you, I think the Lucid car is drop dead gorgeous, but I have ulterior motives there, and I'll tell you what they are probably when I come back. But one of the designers there was with Jaguar and now is with Lucid, and their chief engineer was with Tesla, and now he is in charge of that. And they just ran a 240 mile per hour top speed test. Anyway, stay right there, folks, and I'm going to come back, take with Rocky, finish that call up and take Tim. Don't go away. Coolant leaks are never fun. bulletproof room, and if this studio were to be washed away or blown away, then there would be no Pensacola, Florida left, I can tell you that. So that's not going to happen. Okay, we're going to take a call from Tim in just a couple of seconds here, but first, I want to finish up the conversation that I had earlier about the Elio car, which I don't believe you'll ever see this car. I do believe that we will see the Lucid. And here's a suspicion that I have. Maybe it's because I really want it to work. For Jaguar came out in when Ratan Tata bought Jaguar from Ford in 2008, they redesigned the car. So they came out in 2010 with a new XJ. Ian Callum was the designer. He has since retired from JLR, that's Jaguar Land Rover. Ian, in 2012, because of his efforts and the beauty of the XJ, and mine's the XJL, which is a longer version, but a longer wheelbase and 5.5 inches longer body. But Ian Callum was voted by his peers, which means all the car makers in the world voted Ian Callum as Designer of the Year in 2012. Now, having said that, the XJ was so beautiful and looked so great, but the problem was, as I see it, as it turned out to be, is they kept the same body for 10 years. So the XJ body is outdated. Well, what's the next XJ? So in the meantime, because sales fell off, because the car didn't, we all like new. I mean, the word new, it's improved. Everything new is improved. It's 10 more horsepower. I mean, every year, the same V6 engine that you bought last year gives 10 more horsepower because they did something to it. They just released 10 horsepower with the computer is really what they did. And there's always more horsepower. That's why you can buy those aftermarket chips and pick up 100 horsepower with an EcoBoost engine because it's there. It's just harnessed, if you will, governed by the software. Now, getting back to the Lucid car, the people at Lucid, one of the designers came from Jaguar. The engineer for the Lucid EV, the Air, it's called the Lucid Air, that 240 mile per hour car, 400 mile road range on the batteries. Now, is a car on the street? No. But if you look at the design of that car, you will see scalloped sides, and the rocker panel has specific, edgy. It's edgy, to say the least. And then the back of the car has a tail light that wraps all the way around the top rear section of the hood, the trunk rather, and the side fenders. Now, having said that, if you look at the concept picture of the Jaguar, the new XJ that's not out yet, and they have some hidden shots, but they still have the cars all camouflaged, so you can't see what it looks like. But the fact is, the concept Jaguar side panels of the car are scalloped, just like the Lucids. The rocker panel is also edged, just like the Lucid, and the Lucid already has a picture. It's already a real car, and also another factor is that the new Jag is going to be a 5-door EV electric vehicle hatchback. So the Lucid is a 5-door EV hatchback. So I find it ironic and very interesting. And if I had my choice, and I'm going to wait till the EV XJ comes out before I just make a decision on whether to get that car. And I would like an EV. And what I will do is I will, with that EV, I will turn up the noise level and give it the noise of a V8 engine, because they do offer those options. I don't know if you knew that or not. So you can get an EV, but it doesn't have to be quiet like that. It can have noise and V8 engines, which is what all the car guys like. Let's go to New Mexico and talk to Tim. And folks, Tim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning.
Good morning, Bobby. How's it going?
Well, it's really great, and folks, Tim has become a regular. He calls in from Alamogordo, New Mexico, where he tunes into Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So, Tim, let me share with our audience first the national U.S. gasoline prices. This is per gallon. This is regular unleaded. The national price average this week is $2.17.7 or $2.18, and that's the average. The lowest price is on the Gulf Coast. Wow, that's where we live. It's $1.85. The highest price is on the West Coast at $2.77. So give us your report.
I'll see. Today in Alamogordo, New Mexico, gas is $1.77.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's...
And I was yesterday,
right.
I delivered a car to Douglas, Arizona, which is 4 hours west, and it was $2.12 in Douglas, Arizona yesterday.
And you know, to that end, Tim, it hasn't been, I guess, 2 months when you first called in, and the price there in Alamogordo was like 80 cents. I think it was darn near $1 cheaper than it was half hour away. Am I remembering correctly?
Yes, you are. Some reason we're still cheapest in our state almost since Christmas, and I don't know why.
Transportation. There has to be, and I had the privilege and the pleasure too of visiting a gasoline remanufacturer or producing plant, a refinery. And this refinery was owned by Louisiana Land and Exploration, LLE. It was later bought out by Standard Oil or one of the larger companies. But I went over there, and over there was only about an hour from Pensacola, Florida, and it was around north of Mobile, Alabama. And here's what I learned, and this is from the inside. 85% of all of the gasoline on the Gulf Coast of Florida comes from that plant. 85%. When the big tanker rolls in, they don't charge that tanker by the gallon. They don't sell gasoline by the gallon to the oil companies. The truck is weighed when it comes in, and then they fill the truck, and then it's weighed when it goes out. And then they know the temperature of the gasoline, because the higher the temperature of the gasoline, the less dense it is. And so to that end, anyway, that's how they measure it. And then I also learned, for example, that in Kentucky, Standard Oil had their plants in Kentucky. Well, they were selling Standard Oil gasoline from LL&E, but it really wasn't Standard Oil's gasoline. It was all their gas. Having said that, every single brand that you see on any gas station, and this is for the Gulf Coast, but it's the same thing nationwide. Every brand that you see, what the tanker does, they fill the tanker, and then they leave room, and then at this big, huge gas station in the sky, it's like a farm with huge tanks and what have you, out to the side of the gas pumps. If you would, just imagine a regular 10-station gas station, and then triple the size of everything or double it, and that's what the size is of the gas station at the refinery. But there are 5,000-gallon tanks, and those 5,000-gallon tanks contain the additive package for Standard Oil, the additive package for Shell, the additive, so that when they fill the gas with this base, they fill the tanker with the base gasoline, they can add the appropriate amount of additive from the brand where they're selling that fuel, and it will truly meet the marketing, and it will truly be Shell gas, because it's not Shell gas, it's the base product, but it's Shell gas additives. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And I ask,
Very interesting.
Well, and here's another interesting point too, because I've always tried to figure out where they get the price of gas, where they is, the gas stations. 70% of the price of a gallon is determined by the price of crude. That's number one. The other factors are, number one, transportation. So the reason I mentioned Standard Oil in Kentucky is because for Standard Oil to refine fuel and make gasoline in Kentucky and then truck it all the way to Florida would cost them more, and therefore cost the consumer more. So what they do is they buy gas. It would be like putting me on the air in Pensacola, Florida, and I'm reaching the globe now. Or I could just as easily be in Miami, or I could be in Daytona Beach, or I could be in Kearney, Nebraska, Moses Lake, Washington, and I'd still have the same voice, and it would just be a matter of where I'm sitting and the transportation of audio, which is a lot easier, by the way, than the transportation of gasoline. But I found it very interesting. At that time, it was when ethanol was just rolling out, And I went over there to learn more about ethanol, and I'll just share just one little secret here while we're talking about fuels. They had that month they had sold 151,000 gallons. I remember specifically 151,000 gallons of ethanol, and the truckers were adding the ethanol to the gasoline, and that's called what's called a splash mix, where they splash blend, and they added 10% to the tank because ethanol was cheaper than gasoline and always has been. So they were taking a tank, 90% of the gas, and buying 90%, and then 10% of that gas was a cheaper product, and the ethanol, of course, has the octane in it, so it was good for everyone. But people would say, "Oh, that ethanol is terrible stuff." They had it in their car and they didn't even know it. I mean, this is true. Anyway, hey, listen, sure, thank you for calling, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you. So, are you on the road today?
No, like I said yesterday, I went to Arizona. Today, it's been pretty quiet since last week.
So, are you semi-retired?
Unfortunately, I got laid off just before the corona, like 2 weeks before corona hit the U.S. I got laid off, so it didn't have anything to do with that. But I'm 60 years old, and nobody wants to hire me. I got lots of, like you said, lots of little things and experience of lots of things, but nobody wants to hire me right now. So right now I've got time.
Well, I'm glad you spend some of that time with us, and I appreciate you always calling in, and perhaps one of these days we'll meet face-to-face. In the meantime, when you're out there on the road delivering those cars to those people that buy those cars, stay safe and buckle up, and always tune in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. It's always great to have you join us on a Saturday, Tim.
Can I do a reminder?
Yeah, sure.
You and I talked.
Well, actually...
Are you going...
We're going to a break, yeah. So stay right there. We'll come back, and I see David from California is calling. And folks, 888-227-2546 when I come back. Seven 2546. Now's the time to get in. 888-227-2546. Take a call from California. David, thank you so much for holding your patient.
Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You're on the air.
Okay.
All right.
I have a question about changing oil in my goat.
Okay.
And you recommended, or you didn't recommend, a few weeks ago you talked about oil filters, and you gave a lot of numbers about microns and so forth, but you did not recommend brand names, and I'd like to know if you could sort of give a rundown on which are good, which are bad, and which would be the top filter, because I've heard some bad things about Fram, which I've used in the past.
Well, that's ironic you should say that, because you probably talked to somebody like me or a technician. Fram, in fact, we had a little trivia one day, and it says, in fact, I didn't even give the trivia question out, and a regular listener from Missouri called and said the answer to your trivia question. I said, wait a minute, I didn't give the question yet. He said, well, you can pay me now or pay me later. And everyone knows that it's the best marketing slogan, a byline that's ever been created about automobiles, which is really true. Folks, you can pay me now to keep your car in good shape, or you can pay me later. And that was a Fram. Well, later on, David, as I understand, Fram got bought out by a larger corporation. This I know to be true. When the larger corporation bought out Fram, they combined operations. And during this combining of operations, like a lot of big corporations do, they're multi-layered with just layers of managers here and managers there, and the right decisions don't necessarily get made and executed at the end result. I think through a money-saving, you follow the money is what it's about. The quality of that filter was reduced, not on purpose, but it was a result of cutting corners. And I don't know to this day, and I've actually had an hour and a half face-to-face with a Fram technician at that time, and I asked him specifically about the paper, the material, and the paper ends, and about the fact that they could come apart, and they do, but they don't come apart within the usable life. But to that end, I shied away from the Fram product. So if I were you for your GTO, I would buy a Wix. I have been to the Wix plant. I know Wix to be a fantastic filter. Now, having said that, David, a company that I was associated with for years was Royal Purple. If you've ever listened to the program years ago, I was partnered with Royal Purple for 10 years until they grew from 500 vendors to 23,000 vendors. And Royal Purple was bought out by Calumet, that is headquartered in where they Daytona, not Daytona, but Indianapolis, Indiana. Calumet bought Royal Purple for $331 million. When that happened, Royal Purple's managers and marketing people were all replaced. I mean, that's what big corporations do. And so what Royal Purple did, or Calumet, was they hired a lady from Mary Kay Cosmetics to be the marketing director for automotive oil products. And that didn't last. It didn't work for me, and it didn't work for Car Clinic. And quite candidly, 4 months into that change, it didn't work for her either, because they replaced her with someone else. And it's not against her; it's the fact that it was I think a poor match of people and their history and their knowledge about products. It's like Rush Limbaugh. At one time, Rush Limbaugh, and still may be doing this, was doing commercials for BG Products, and we use BG Products in our shop and I had a partnership with them. Well, BG Products took some of the budget that they were spending with me, and they went to Rush Limbaugh. He doesn't even drive a car. So who you gonna call? I mean, he knows nothing about a car. So you have to understand why he's a good fit for where he is. I'm a good fit for this because I love cars. That's my whole life. And so I don't know everything, but I study them, voraciously. Now, having said that, I can honestly recommend a Wix oil filter for your vehicle. And the micron is going to probably run in the 30 microns. And that's okay. You cannot and should not use a tighter, and there's a company, and I forget where they're located, but I was talking years ago about the microns of oil filters, and I was corrected by a manufacturer called Baldwin. Have you ever heard of Baldwin oil filters?
No, I have not.
Well, neither had I. But the technical director from Baldwin reached out to me, and he says, I heard you talking about the tightest, micron, and it was so-and-so. He said, our oil filters are 19 micron. Well, here's the challenge with that. The tighter the porosity of the oil filter, reduces the flow of oil through the filter. So you could put and I did this every year on my Viper for 10 years. Every year I would change the oil every year. But before I changed it, I'd run it through a 5 micron machine that was that would actually filter the old oil. And the reason I did that is because when you change oil and you put new oil in, you think that the engine has all new oil, but that's not the case. It's a half a quart to a quart of oil, old oil left in an engine. And so people that change their oil at 10, 15,000 miles or so, like some Mercedes, and some Porsche, and you can do that for the first 2 or 3 oil changes, 15,000, 30,000, 45,000. But when you get 60,000, 80,000 miles, cumulatively the crankcase builds up more and more sludge and more. So every time you change the new oil, the new batch of oil, this is true for any car, and the new batch of oil is immediately contaminated. So I would run my oil through a 5-micron filter. Well, guess what? My Viper that always had 45 psi of pressure, idling or 5,000 RPM, the inside of engines and gearboxes and what have you are always wearing. It's called, and not to damage it, but it's called polish wear. Polish wear is where you use a polish so fine, like on a paint. You know, if you have abrasives in compounds, if you're compounding the paint, and then if you want to make it shine, you sand it, then you buff it with a compound, and then you polish it with a buffer of finer, and then finally when you mirror finish, you put wax on it that has no abrasives in it. Well, in an automobile engine, the small molecules, I mean, 90% of the wear is polish wear, which is okay, and it's from those molecules that are 12 to 15 size molecules. So every engine and every person that's listening right now, your car has what's called polish wear. It has 25 to 30 micron particles of dirt and engine oil, mechanical aluminum and other metals that are traveling around, because the filter cannot and will not filter out those small, tiny particles, because if it could, you couldn't drive the car, because it would starve the engine of oil, because you can't have the fine, just like, and I'll turn the mic back to you. When they make ethanol, and they make it 200 proof alcohol, which is what we can drink, you get 200 proof alcohol by taking the beer, and it's run through the process of making ethanol, and you run it through a microbic sieve, electronic sieve. And the sieve takes the water out of it, because the molecule of water is larger than ethanol, and that's the only way you get 200 proof grain alcohol. And then when they finish making the 200 proof grain alcohol, which is drinkable, they poison it, and it's called denatured. They denature it by putting 2 gallons of gasoline in it, and that denatures it, and then you can't drink it. And the first batch, and an interesting point, David, so interesting to me, the first batch of the Kappa ethanol is a world-known, in Kearney, Nebraska, world-known farmer-owned ethanol plant. Their first batch, when John, who was the president of the company, is the president of the company, took that first batch of ethanol to the gas stations, the Department of law enforcement, or alcohol, ABC, alcohol beverage control, followed him, because they didn't have any gasoline, and he was towing a batch of 200 proof grain alcohol, and they followed him to make sure that he didn't take it to the whiskey store versus the gas station. That's a true story. I mean, it's so cool. Yeah. Anyway, that's more information than you called for, but I thought I'd share it with you.
Well, I love a lesson.
Well, I thank you. And
something else I'd like to ask
quickly.
About
okay.
My 2018 Ford and the oil change in it.
Okay.
I have 13,000 miles on it. The first oil change came within about a year, which the recommended oil change is 10,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 13,000 miles now, but my engine, my dash panel tells me change oil. It's only been 3,000 miles since the oil change.
That's because
coming so soon.
That's because they didn't reset the computer, and the computer uses algorithms to determine the condition of the oil, and the algorithms really don't have anything to do with the condition of the oil per se. It's just a formula that's used in algorithms to where if you're on oil, and here's what governs that here's what determines that light. The algorithms determine how long the engine has run, at what RPM, and at what temperature, wide open throttle, moderate throttle, idle, and what have you, and it collates all of that information, and it says, okay, if we abuse this oil and towed and overheated it, or worked it really hard with towing for this length of time, and if we idled it for this length of time, and if we cut it off and on with short stops driving, then by our algorithms, that oil should be ready to go and to be changed. And when they first came out with this, GM came out, the time to change oil ran from 9,000 to 22,000 miles. And so it didn't work. It's never worked. So one more thing about that, but it's very interesting, and I'll make this really clear. If you have a General Motors car from 2013 and younger, they changed the percentage of life left in the oil, the way that's operated, and here's what it goes. At 70, let's say you had 7,000 miles on the oil, and it had 50% life left in it, and you take a drive on the weekend that's 501 miles. You go 500 miles, now you've got 7,500 miles, and you've got 48%, right? You know, or you can do the math. If 7,000 you got 50%, obviously at 7,500 you still got close to 50%. Let's just say it's 40, right? But at 7,501 mile, you have 0% life left in that oil. And that's because the algorithm is used as a measuring stick and as a notice to the owner, but at 7,500 miles, regardless of what the algorithm comes up with, it's time to change your oil. So when your oil was changed, the service shop that changed it didn't reset the onboard computer to its baseline. You got it?
I got it, so that means I got to call Ford and
No, that's no big deal. That's okay. Just go by the Ford dealership and ask them to reset your. Tell them I said they'd do it for you.
Okay, I'll tell them, but I don't think it'll do any good.
I don't either, but hey, it's worth a shot. Thanks for calling, Dave.
I enjoy your show.
Thanks
so much.
Thank you. Yeah, like you'll probably say, well, Bobby Likis says, we don't want to hear more about this, And now, hey, wait a minute now. Let me say this. We got another hour coming up, and I know Chris and Randy are on the line, but so don't go away, either one of you. But I will say this. Never at any given time, and I don't use the word never, have I said, you go to this place and you tell them I said. Well, I can't say that because I just told him that. But the bottom line is, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go into an automotive service shop, new car dealership, independent chain store, Firestone. You don't go in and say, oh yeah, my car's making noise. Put a new injector on it, or put a new wheel bearing. You don't do that. You think, and you don't go on the internet and diagnose your problems on the internet and take your car to a shop and say, oh, I saw the internet, I got a knocking noise in my engine, all it needs is this little widget here. So, but you can do this. Tune in every Saturday from 10 till noon to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and I'll share with you the information that I've learned in my 60 years of automotive experience. The end of this program, I'm Bobby Likis, your host. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, here's a great story for you. One of our listeners had to fly from Oregon to Maine to pick up his daughter and drive back home across country. She had an older Trailblazer that was not particularly well maintained. They rented a U-Haul, packed everything, and began the trek home. Shortly into the trip, the engine began to run hot due to a leaking radiator. The initial thought was, of course, to find a local shop that could help, but with shelter-in-place orders all around the country, that was difficult. They did find an auto parts store and purchased a bottle of K-Seal along with some coolant. K-Seal stopped the leak, and they finished their trip without any additional coolant leakage. Now, more than ever, it really pays to be prepared. Maintain an emergency road kit and be sure to include, among other items, a bottle of K-Seal. You can find K-Seal at fine parts stores nationwide, like Advance Auto Parts, and you can check the store website for hours and shipping information. And remember, if you have a coolant leak, don't seal it, K-Seal it. And remember, if you have a cooling system leak, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. For more information, go to kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window.
It's really easy to do. Millie will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, or I'll make it even easier, 888-227-2546. That's 227 2546. I'm giving away it's at 55 after the hour of this hour a complete blaster gift pack that includes, if you remember the PB blaster, it includes the original PB blaster, a Multimax multi-purpose lubricant, a citrus-based degreaser, garage door lube. That's great stuff. I used it the other day, 3 weeks ago. PB infused lithium grease, and lithium grease is my favorite to use on like light bulb sockets, especially if you have a boat and you back your boat into the water and the lights are submerged. That's Blaster Corp. Makes great products. BlasterCorp.com. In the meantime, I'll take your calls when I come back. Millie will at 888-227-2546. Let's get going sooner than later. Folks, you should always carry a pair of jumper cables in your car and make sure you know which terminal of the battery is positive, which is red, and which terminal is negative, which is black. So hook the black cable to the black terminal and hook the red cable to the red terminal on the good car and bad car. And make sure you park your cars close together so that your cables can reach. For detailed information about how to do this, go to autobatteries.com, courtesy of Clarius. At autobatteries.com, you'll also find information about recycling, technology, testing, and maintenance. That's autobatteries.com, courtesy of Clarius.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need for summer car maintenance, and our professional parts people can help you find the best oil change supplies for your car. Get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $28.99, plus a $7 gift card after mail-in rebate. For your summer oil change, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise in Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at Motorrad.com.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started. And just for you to know, at the 55 after this hour, I'll be giving away a gift pack from our partners, the Blaster Corp. And like the PB Blaster, and it includes the entire suite of their products, plus a hat, a T-shirt, and a keychain. It's really a case or more of product that you'll be able to use in your garage at home or in your garage if you're in the business, or anywhere. It's just really great stuff. So just you call AAA Car Clinic, that's 888 Car Clinic, and Millie will take your call and put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. I was going to go to Kearney, Nebraska. But we lost that caller, but I think he's calling right back. If he is, he's been holding for like
30 minutes. So I'll give that gentleman just a minute to get back on the line because he must have got disconnected. In the meantime, Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by our partners, Berryman Products. You can count on Berryman to provide the products that you need to keep your vehicle running during these challenging times. And, you know, Berryman is Berryman just makes great products. And when you get a chance, go to berrymanproducts.com for all that they do offer. Let's go back to Randy. And folks, Randy is calling from Nebraska. Randy, I know you got disconnected, but you call right back. So welcome back to, you're in the queue now. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We finally got you on the air, man.
Well, it's worth the wait. You know, it wasn't Millie's fault. It was my fault. I must have hit a wrong button. Bobby, I'm listening to you on KODY in North Platte, Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
And we love you here on the Great Plains.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And you know, now, this is a corn state, so we like our 10% ethanol blend gasoline,
Absolutely.
which up here we call it Unleaded Plus.
Sure.
And it's running right now, it's running about $1.94 to about $2.20 a gallon.
Right.
And but the reason I called, and this is, I've heard this most of my life, and I'm having a debate with a good friend of mine, and we decided, well, Randy, you don't mind calling. Call Bobby Likis, and whatever he says is going to decide. And I'm not going to say which side I'm on, but
okay.
The argument is on a battery that's sitting on concrete. You've heard that. You've heard many times, I've heard many times, that if it sits on concrete, it'll drain the battery and sometimes even ruin the battery. Is there truth to that?
No. See, the battery is contained within a shell, and that shell is a separator. It's an isolator. It shields the battery from heat. It keeps the flooded battery keeps the acid inside, and the voltage is contained. Any voltage that comes out of that battery, and they're parasitic draw now. There's a natural loss of battery charge, whether the battery is sitting on a wooden crate, which for years ago we always thought we had to do that, or on concrete. But the battery doesn't know the difference between concrete and wood unless there's a problem in the case of the battery, because there's no way that any parasitic draw can reach into the battery because it's insulated by its own hard case. That answer your question?
Well, my friend wins the argument, but I do appreciate your answer, and I'll live with it, Bobby. Hey, you guys stay well down there, okay?
Well, you should have slipped me your $5 ahead of time.
Take care.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Well, he's never going to listen to my show again. Oh, that's yeah, anyway. His friend was right. To that end, when you buy a battery at a battery shop or a service shop or a dealership or at O'Reilly Auto Parts, you look at the date on that battery and you get the freshest one that you can get, just like the born on date on your tires. When you buy tires are generally 6-year guarantee. Why? Because, and there's a born on date. The problem is when you buy a set of tires, it takes about a year, most often, for those tires to get into the pipeline and get to the store. Unless it's a chain store. Even if you buy from, like, and I've done this, from Tire Rack, it's all a crapshoot because they have warehouses filled with tires. And I've personally had connections at Tire Rack, which is a huge tire store, right? And asked the person, well, look, John, could you give me the youngest tire that you can get, because I want the best rubber. He said, Bobby, we have people that are going to go out in the warehouse and pull the tires. Best I can do is give you a pair of fronts that are dated the same and a pair of rears, but I can't tell you that I go out there and cherry pick and get you the latest set of tires. So I said all that to say that 6 years is a guarantee. However, what about Bridgestone and Michelin and Dunlop? Do they agree on anything? Yes, they all agree that if a tire is 10 years old, then it should not be sold or used. It's above its shelf life. And of course, that's not necessarily the case at all either, because the shelf life is dictated by the environment. So if you've got a hot warehouse that gets hot and cold and what have you, but if you have sun, you put a tire in the sun, you're really shortening the life because of UV ray. Let's go to Arkansas. Chris, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you so much for holding.
You know what, Bobby? Welcome to Razorback land.
Hey, let me tell you something. I'm ready. I'm ready for some. Are you ready for some football?
Oh,
Don't get me started. I bet you are. You're ready
Hey,
for some.
Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'll keep this as short as I can.
Right.
I talked to you 2 or 3 months ago.
Okay.
I've got a 2016 F-150. I told you that it had excessive idle time, and the thing would die at stoplights.
Mm-hmm.
You said the fuel system was kind of jacked up on that year model. They changed it 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I took it to Ford, and I had Ford do an induction cleaning on it,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you had suggested.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did they do that, they put new plugs in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it ran like a top for a long time.
Terrific.
Now I've kind of got the same problem going on, and what I've been doing, I put some sea foam in it, ran that for a few tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know that helped it a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started putting Berrymans in there
Right.
and running the 91 octane, no ethanol. And the sucker runs like a top when I've got that in there. Now, I don't do that all the time because of the availability of funds
Mm-hmm.
and, pump prices, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if there's something else I need to be doing, or am I going the right way?
Well, I'd like for you to go get a razor and don't. Okay, I'm not going to make a joke. Here's the straight Razorback. What you need to do is to continue to use the low octane, not the 91 octane, the low or 89 octane. There's no reason for you to use the premium high cost of straight gasoline. Use E10. Okay. You can use 89 octane if it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
And then every 5,000 miles, add the Berryman B12 chem tool to the gas. And for your for your 16, let me say this, and then I'll turn the mic back to you, Chris. For your 16 still had, I think it was direct injection. Well, what engine? What engine do you have? You have a V8 or an EcoBoost?
It's got the 5 liter.
Oh, okay. So is it a direct injection engine, or do you know? I don't think it was.
You know what, Bobby? As far as I know, it does. I don't have.
Well, if it does have direct injection, that's a real issue because there's no way that you can clean the valves with any chemical because the fuel doesn't hit. But I'm not sure that the 16. But I do know this: in 2017. The EcoBoost, which is the twin turbo hot rod engine, as it per se, the EcoBoost went from direct injection, from the old port injection, to direct injection and port injection. And Ford says it's going to drive better and what have you. But the bottom line, without having fuel washing the back of the intake valve where the port injector is located, then that.
Well, Bobby,
yes.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But this is part of our conversation we had 2 or 3 months ago.
Right.
You said that it was a valve issue because stuff would gather up on the back part of the valve.
Sure.
And it wouldn't get cleaned off.
Right. That was why I said to have an induction system, because they manually put chemical through the mouth of the engine and wash the lungs of the engine and the intake port and the back of the valve, because that's where it all starts. It starts with the mouth of the engine, then it goes to the lungs of the engine, which is the plenum chamber, it being the chemical that they use in shops, and then it washes the back of the intake valve. So really, that service should be done every 30,000 miles. I mean, but in the meantime, use the Berryman B12 and use 87 octane and call me next week. I'll be back, folks. Don't touch the dial.
Spring has sprung, and with COVID-19 center stage, it's never been more important to be car care aware. The Car Care Council reminds you that April is National Car Care Month. Here are a few things you should consider as you prepare for the months ahead. April showers can bring hazardous driving conditions with slick, wet roads. It's a great time to make sure your brakes, tires, and windshield wipers are ready for the rain. Talking specifically about your brakes, how can you tell something's wrong? There are a number of signs. If your brakes are spongy or squealing, or if you can't stop without pumping, or other indicators include your car pulling to one side when stopping, your brake pedal sitting lower than normal, and your brakes requiring excessive pressure or grabbing with the least amount of pressure. Any of these symptoms mean you likely need your brakes inspected. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org. Vehicle reliability is always important, but now more than ever, your car or truck needs to start, run, and run well. Berryman and their family of products is here to help you maintain your vehicle, whether you're still commuting for an essential job or it's an occasional trip to the grocery or the pharmacy. Berryman B12 Chem Tool with Hest technology is a perfect pour-in solution which helps break down carbon deposits that may form while the vehicle is sitting and helps disperse moisture and dissolve gum and varnish. And Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel system management kit improves hard starting, rough idle, poor fuel economy, and overall drivability. And Berryman's B60 high mileage oil system rejuvenator cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system of all gas-powered vehicles, including those exceeding 60,000 miles. Since 1918, Berryman has been here to help consumers and repair shops alike. More information? Go to berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I want to take just a minute here and thank my great team. John and Jonathan and Millie are currently in the control booth. I can see John looking straight at him, and I can see Millie waving her hand. Jonathan's around the backside there, but they're in there working diligently to make sure that I'm communicating with you and at the best levels. And so I want to thank them. I want to thank you for tuning in. For 28 years, I've hosted this program. And I can't tell you, there's not been a Saturday that I didn't come in here, no matter how I felt, that when the mic goes hot, I just love it. It's absolutely a breath of fresh air to yours truly. And to that end, our partner sponsors, we have, and I'll give you one example, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Not only are they a sponsor, they're a partner of ours. And we're all in the COVID situation right now, so I'd like to share with you a message from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Take a listen.
As we navigate the COVID-19 crisis, O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to serving you. We've been deemed an essential business, so our doors will stay open. We encourage you to buy online, then pick up curbside. Together, we're committed to getting through this.
And you see how easy you can go to O'ReillyAuto.com and you can order parts, and depending on if it's something like $35, they'll actually deliver them free. So it's a great service, but more importantly, or equally as important, what a great opportunity for me to share with you a very important message from O'Reilly Auto Parts. And to that end, I'll take your calls at 800-227-2546. Edna has held for quite a while. I'm going to go to Edna first, and then I see Stan is in the queue. And remember, at 55 after the hour, I'm going to give away an allotment. Literally, it's a treasure trove of product from our partners at Blaster, the PB Blaster and what have you. It's so many that I don't have time to mention, but and we're going to do that. So please call, put your name in the hat, because I want some Car Clinic listener to use this product and enjoy it. 888-227-2546. Edna, first, thank you. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and thank you for holding so long.
No problem. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you taking my call.
What can I do for you?
I have a 1980 380 SL Mercedes. I took it out for a ride after having it away for a couple of months. Had the oil change. Instead of them putting 9 quarts in, they probably put 5. I don't know. But apparently I blew the engine. I've been looking all over, and my engine goes from the 1981, from what I've read, up into 89. I would like to have my engine rebuilt, really, or have some manufacturer build it and send it to me.
Okay, Miss Edna, that engine, the 380, does not go to 89. It goes to 85. 81.
Okay.
81 through 85. In the 81 model, which was the first all aluminum engine that Mercedes put on the market, was a good engine. They did have some porosity issues with the engine block and a cylinder head, rather. But what was worse, and what's the worst thing, and probably what caused your engine to blow, is that they used its predecessor. First, let me say this: the predecessor 380 was a 450 SL. Which meant that it had a 4.5 engine with a double row bicycle timing chain. And just think of a bicycle chain, because it looks just like that, and it had a double row. Well, then they came out with the 380 engine, the 3.8 liter, and they said, well, this is a smaller engine. Well, physically it had smaller piston and stroke, but it's the same size engine. You can't look at the two and tell a difference. It's the same size exterior dimensions. So somebody at Mercedes made a mistake and says, well, hey, we don't really need the double row bicycle chains. We can make it lighter and put a single row chain. That was the kiss of death. Those single row bicycle chains at 30,000 miles started clattering, and the tensioners went bad, and the chain, even though the engine cubic inches was smaller, the load on the cam is the same, because the cam doesn't know. It just operates the valves. It doesn't know how much engine's down there. So having said that, many 380 engines were destroyed by timing chains that broke and destroyed the engine. So here's my concern for you. I do not recommend you repair that engine in that car because, because it's going to.
I have everything brand new and original. I have a new carpet, new top, paint job, and everything I've done.
Okay, then here's what you must do. Here's what you must do, and I recommend this. Find a recycling yard that will order you and find for you nationwide an 84 or 85 engine. Do not put an 81 engine back in your 81 SL. Use an 84. It'll bolt in, and it will have the updated. It's still a 380 engine. And so
it's a 380 SL.
Yes, ma'am.
Model.
I know, but the 380 means the engine's a 3.8 liter. So it's a 380 engine, 3.8 liter. That's where it gets the 380 SL.
Okay.
So now understand this. You want a used engine that is a 380 SL engine, but 1984. You've got a 1981. You do not want an 81, 82, or 83 used engine. You want an 84 or 85 used engine. That's the only 2 years that I would take a gamble on a used engine, because if you start to rebuild that engine, you're going to spend $20,000, and the car's not worth $20,000.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, now tell me what year engine that you're going to try to find.
A 1984 or 1985?
You got it. That's all you. I'm so proud that you called me today, because I had a brand new 84 I bought it for my wife, actually.
Yeah, somebody bought this for a wedding gift.
Yeah.
But it has 235,000 miles
Wow.
on it already, and I drove it back.
Yeah, they're
from,
beautiful. They're beautiful
Carolina.
cars. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I thank you. I wish you the best of luck. And again, you put some feelers out. But by under no circumstances are you to buy another 81, 2, or 3 380 engine, because it has a single row bicycle chain, and in '84 they changed it, and it has a double row bicycle chain for the timing chain, and that's the only one of those engines that I would recommend. Period. You got it?
Do you have any recommendation of who's a rebuilder or who else?
There's not a shop that I know of that will take on that project and rebuild that engine, and furthermore, the dealer won't touch it, and neither will the independent, because the engine, the amount of time, energy, labor, and where do you stop? One of my favorite sayings is, "You can't be a little pregnant." Well, all right. Now, likewise, to overhaul an engine that needs a chain and 2 pistons, where do you stop? Do you put the 2 pistons in the chain? What about the other 6 pistons? What about the cams? What about the followers? Oh, what about the oil pump? I mean, all those things. Once you put your toe in that water, you're hooked. Once you put that toe in, and that's why you either get a used engine, or you get a remanufactured engine from a remanufacturer. That's a national chain. So,
what about a remanufacturer? Do you have a decent name that you could recommend me?
Jasper.
Jasper?
Yep, Jasper Engines. They'll take your engine and update it with double row chains and make it an '84. If they will, but I've been to Jasper. I've been to the plant. And so that's the only company I could recommend. Jasper. Call and talk to the marketing director and use my name and call Jasper in Jasper, Indiana, and tell them what you've got and ask them, will they rebuild your engine and put the '84 timing chain setup in it? And they'll already know, and they'll already do that anyway. And then you get information, and then you call me back and let me know, and I'll help you on the next step. You got it?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome so
Have a
much. I'm
blessed
so
day.
proud of you for
Bye-bye.
calling. Bye. Yeah, I may have saved her a ton of money. I hope, because she could really just, you can be hurt by what you don't know. I just want to share with you that Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Berryman Products, our partner sponsors. You can count on Berryman to provide the products needed to keep your vehicle running during these challenging times. And you can learn more about Berryman Products at berrymanproducts.com. Great products. Engine oil rejuvenator. You got a car with 100,000 miles. You need to get engine oil rejuvenator and treat your engine to it. Go to berrymanproducts.com and take a look around. In the meantime, we'll take a call from Stan. Stan, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. How you doing?
I am doing great this morning. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. I appreciate your call. Well, what's on your mind?
Well, first, while I was on hold, I was thinking how much you've influenced my life through all of your experience, and I know it's done for the other people who are listening, how we've learned good products, good methods, good advice. I appreciate you.
I thank you. I appreciate your kind words, and so does our team. We all really, that kind of makes our day, Stan, because just like Edna, I just was so concerned for that lady, because she's going to get in way over her head, and then what will happen is, then we'll get off the subject. What will happen, inevitably, is that she takes her car into a shop. She ends up, with a $20,000 bill, and her next door neighbor says, "Boy, they really ripped you off." And it wouldn't be the shop's fault. So it's not a question of the shop ripping her off. It's a question of her engine replacement is going to cost a ton of money, because that's a specialized automobile. So anyway, I was really concerned and still am. That's why I want her to go do some due diligence this week and then call me back so I can help her. What she should do is sell the car, give it away, and go buy a new car. But anyway, what's on your mind?
Well, you know that I bought this... Well, it's a CX-5. It's a 16,
right.
And I bought it in anticipation for fuel mileage and towing capacity.
Okay.
And it's a marvelous car. I anticipated back then, 5 years ago, that we're going to see $5 a gallon gasoline like Europe, and that I really needed to pay attention to fuel mileage. I had no idea that we were going to have the breakthroughs that we have here in fracking and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
That turned us into a supplier.
Right.
But fuel mileage, when I turn my car off, I've got it set up so that it will tell me what the average fuel mileage was that I got on that last trip.
Got it.
And it's given me some wonderful numbers. But I said, how does it figure that out? Is it doing the same thing that it does on the instantaneous mileage?
Yes.
Average. What's it doing? Because
yes.
Sometimes I get 37 miles per gallon.
Yeah, I know. And well, when I come back, I'll give you the heads up of how that works, because it's very interesting. And it's all about 2 words: fuel cut. Fuel cut. When I come back, I'll tell you what that means. Spring has sprung and summer's around the corner. We're all hoping for a return to some normal. immediately open and closed 3 milliseconds, and it would flow X amount of fuel. That is how all cars that have instantaneous and ongoing average for fuel and LPG, they count the number of pulses that the injector has opened at what pressure, because the pressure changes in some cars with the load of the engine, and the pressure regulator changes it. So it's a very sophisticated algorithm where you take the numbers and you count, okay, in this 5-mile period, this injector opened 3.1 million times at 3 milliseconds. It opened 300,000 times for 4 milliseconds. It opened 150 times at 8 milliseconds when it was cold. So you average the amount of liquid that would flow at the different differentials, and you average that out, and that's how that works. Now, you got that? You got me so far? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it's not about flow. It's about counting numbers, which is all about the flow. Having said that, if you coast down a hill and you're going 30 miles an hour, and you let off the accelerator and put your car in second gear, and it goes above 1,500 RPM because the rear wheels are driving your car. You know, you're like downshifting, right?
Right.
When your foot is totally off of the accelerator and the engine is turning more than 1,500 RPM, the fuel flow is cut altogether. You're getting infinite miles per gallon, and that's where, and I do this every day, I'll go off the off-ramp at 110 downtown, and I'll back pedal, and I use my paddle shifters, and I'll keep my engine above 1,500 RPM, and I can show you 99 miles per gallon all the way down that ramp. Because number one, the infinite reading only goes 2 digits, 99. You know, it's over 100, but it only goes to 2 digits.
Right.
But I can drive your car, and depending on the terrain, and using the rear wheels to drive the engine, and as long as I'm over 1,500 RPM. Now, here's why. When you're coming to a stop and you coast, let's say you go off the interstate and you're going 70 miles an hour, you let off the gas, and you're coasting to a off-ramp. The whole time you're letting at 70 miles per hour and your engine's above 1,500, the fuel cut's there. So that half mile or 3 blocks that you're coasting is infinite MPG, which affects those real short numbers. And if you checked the whole tank, it wouldn't affect the whole tank. But if you checked a snippet, you can make a snippet 99 miles per gallon. I can make your car get 50 miles per gallon. And you say, wow, how'd you do that? Because I downshifted and forced the engine and drove the engine from the rear wheels versus the other way around. And the reason for this is for emissions, and also the reason that you have to turn more than 1,500 is because when the engine gets below 1,500, the computer knows you're coming to a stop. And if the fuel flow was cut off continuously, the engine would go dead. So at 1,500 and below, sure. So that's how it works. That's where the fuel cut comes in. And the fuel cut wasn't designed for MPG. The fuel cut was designed by Bosch so that the Jaguar 44 group in the 80s could race with the Porsches and get better gas mileage. And they put a Motronic injector system, and that's who invented the fuel cut. And the Jaguars were slower cars, but every time the Porsche would outrun them and the Jag would be on the race course, the Jag would not have to stop for gasoline, because every time they backed off in the hairpin, the fuel was zip, and the Porsche was still pouring gas in. So the MPG allowed the Jaguar to stay on the track longer on the downshifts because it didn't use any fuel. And it was shortly thereafter that the manufacturer says, hey, we can use the fuel cut to reduce and eliminate emissions on coasting. You got it?
You know, you couldn't possibly know, but I raced against those guys back then in a Porsche against their British Leyland cars.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, you talk about getting to your seat there and everything turns, okay, the light's on, I'm ready. I had the same thing experience. It just gave me an instant when I got into my race car, and I was all I had my helmet on, had everything, and I cranked the engine. As soon as I cranked the engine, the whole day got into focus. It was I had some terrible allergies. They were all over nothing. I got this shot of adrenaline, and that lasted.
Yeah.
It was. So I guess I could write somewhat.
Well,
now I have more fuel questions.
Well, okay. Well, I'm short on time, so quickly.
Give me brands of good fuel.
Fuel on the Gulf Coast, 85% of the fuel comes from the same horse. A brand, Shell. Shell probably makes they advertise they have more cleaner. So if you want to use a fuel, but so instead of having 4 drops, which is the government mandates, they put in 5 drops so they can advertise they have more cleaner. But more is better and cleaner. So Shell is probably the best brand of gas. I don't use it because it's not convenient. I use Circle K or whatever that, I use Tom Thumb because all of the gas on the Gulf Coast comes from Mobile anyway, 85% of it. So it's
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Have a great day. Thank you, Stan. So we have a question from Dale Schmidt, who's a Watch Bobby Live listener and a viewer. He says, I have an 06 Avalanche. I use Castrol conventional oil. Would it be okay to transition over to full synthetic Castrol? Vehicle has 145,000, no leaks, overall good car. Yes, it would. It's never too late to quit smoking. And Dale, I would tell you, it's never too late to put synthetic oil in your car. Here's a directive. Use the same viscosity oil you've used all this time, so you'll have the same oil pressure. But when you put the first batch of synthetic oil in your Avalanche, run it 3,500 miles and then change the oil and filter, because the synthetic oil will clean out your engine. Now, it won't cause any leaks and what have you, but it will run cleaner than conventional oil, or the engine will run cleaner with synthetic oil. So the first batch, 3,500, change oil and filter, and then thereafter, every 7,500 to 10,000 miles, change oil and filter with a synthetic. And if you are on the road and you put 30,000 miles a year, you can go up to 10,000 miles on oil and filter. I'm concerned that the filter, you can only hold so much, so you don't want to go beyond that. I'm going to put now the Porsche pictures and what have you. So if you would, folks, take a look at Watch Bobby Live. This is my pride and joy. Just this week, I went out and years. Let's go to Nevada and talk with Captain Jim. And folks, this gentleman is a regular viewer on our Watch Bobby Live, and he was the captain of John Wayne's boat for years. And Captain Jim, always great to have you join us. Welcome and good morning.
Well, it's always great to talk to you, Bobby. I like picking your brain, and I'm going to do that now, if that's okay.
Sure.
As you know, as you said, I was a yacht captain and was one for 40 years. And whenever we buy fuel, we buy large amounts of diesel fuel. And the person selling it to us would always give us the specific gravity and temperature of the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, and the other thing I do is when I'm filling my motorhome, I always hang on to the filler handle to see if I can get the temperature, and when it's nice and cold, I feel like I'm getting, heavy, dense fuel. Now, in a car, would that affect your mileage? In other words, in the wintertime, when the fuel is cold and more dense, would you get better mileage than in the summertime when it's hot and not as dense?
Absolutely. And to that end, you and I are on the same page here. Years and years ago, I did an experiment. And it wasn't by purpose. It was by accident. But I noticed it at one time, and then and when I first moved to Florida from Chicago, actually I was born and reared in Birmingham, and then I moved to Chicago, and that was a culture shock. And then I moved to Florida. So I would fill my car, and I did a lot. Every weekend, I'd go from Pensacola back to Birmingham, Alabama. Every weekend. It was a trek. And so once you make that trek, you know what your gas mileage is, regardless of the conditions. Here's the bottom line. If you fill your car like late in the evening when the gas is cooler, of course, the tanks are underground now, so it's not. This doesn't apply universally, but generally speaking, if the tank's underground and the fuel is cool, and you fill your tank, and then you drive your car the next day, you go on your trip and you've driven say 6 or 7 hours, and you stop and it's say 3:30 in the afternoon, and you stop for a bio break and you're going to fill up your car because it's down to a quarter tank, and so when you fill your car, remember, you're filling up in the middle of the day. So your car had X amount of miles when it was filled with cold, dense gasoline. You refilled it with hotter fuel, ergo fewer gallons, because the fuel is expanding, so the tank won't hold the same amount, and that particular load of gasoline will show better gas mileage, because the next load will show a worse gas mileage because of the opposite effect. So the temperature of fuel, and there's no question about that, because as I said, when semis load fuel in the big refinery service station and fill that truck up, they don't go by the gallons. They weigh the truck coming in, they weigh the truck coming out, and they know the temperature of the gasoline, and that's how they can pay by the gallon, because they know the density of the fuel. So you're right on, exactly right on.
Okay. I had that idea. I figured it was so, because when we're filling boats, we needed to know the density of fuel, because boats float, and then you have to load it from one tank to the other to get balance and all of that.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. I'm glad you verified that.
Well, I sure appreciate you calling, and if I'm out of time, but would you be so kind, maybe in the next week or two, to give me a shout back and share one of the stories with John Wayne? It's been 2 or 3 years, and so would you please do that and say next week? How about that?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you, Captain Jim. So he's got some really good tales about John Wayne. Probably something he can't tell. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Blaster Corporation. PB Blaster, is a product that I endorse and I use personally, and they've given me a gift pack. And it's a huge opportunity for me to share with one of our lucky winners, and I'm going to do that now. And here are some of the Blaster products that are going to be included in this prize pack. Original PB Blaster, Multimax multipurpose lubricant, citrus-based degreaser, garage door lube. I already told you about it. I use that. The PB infused lithium grease. Lithium grease is my favorite grease for salt water, because it's waterproof. Brake cleaner, dry lube, and much more, plus a Blaster t-shirt, a keychain, and a Blaster hat. This is the largest giveaway I think we've ever done, and the lucky winner is David in California, who called, ironically, about oil and filters, about his goat. And for those of you who don't know what a goat is, John, do you know what a goat is?
It's an animal with horns.
No. Yeah, that's what I thought, folks. It's a GTO. So he had a 66 GTO, and he also had a newer car, of course. But congratulations, David in California. You are the winner. And thanks so much to the Blaster Corporation and all of our friends at Blaster for this terrific prize pack. And folks, for more information about Blaster, go to blastercorp.com. Let's go to New York now. And quickly, Bob, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm out of time. What's your question?
Yeah, hi, Bobby.
Hey, sir.
My boy graduated from college.
Okay.
Now, I had paid all his expenses.
30 seconds.
So
30 seconds.
Okay. And he wants a car,
okay.
Another car.
Okay.
And you've always recommended Toyotas.
I have,
and
yes.
I've looked through there what he's has picked out and shown to me, and they have CVTs, and I'm just really have concern about that.
Well, let me say this.
Up forums.
Okay, so Bob, let me say this. Because we're out of time, I would, before you do anything, let's talk about this next week. I do love the Toyota used cars. They make the best cars. I am not a fan of the CVT transmission, but I'd have to rethink my thoughts when it comes to Toyota and CVTs. And folks, with that, I'm Bobby Likis. Thanks for tuning in. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation.